Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Handicap Rugby Chat That Matters. It's Thursday night. It's 9 o'clock, and we're going to be talking rugby betting. Well, of course, the World Cup is something of the past, but we've got to have the post-mortem, especially after last week where we had Brendan Wessels very bullish on the box, Oracle Rugby bullish on the box. And well, let's just say Henrik, he stopped short of going too heavily for England. He felt a bit of loyalty to the box there. Casco and myself were very firmly on the English there. So, we'll have to have that post-mortem. Gavin is looking for a link, I see in the live chat. Hopefully one of the boys will get it to him because I did email it to him, but he hasn't come in yet. If you are new to our channel, do go down below and hit the subscribe button. Aside from wrapping up the World Cup, we're also going to be talking European rugby action. And I could tell you I've been on a WhatsApp group with a couple of boys this week. Some of these guys are very passionate about their Pro 14, their Gallagher English Premiership, and we'll even touch on if there's any top 14 bets. But we'll get on to that in just a second. Time to introduce the panel, and I'm pleased to announce the return of the Conductor. Now, I'll say the return because last week he was on the show, but he didn't call himself the Conductor. He said there wasn't a bus to get on that he could conduct, or a train to get on that he can conduct, but he's got no doubt about it. He's got some strong fancies this week. Brendan, welcome back to the show. First up, great pick on the box last week. Very well done on that. And also looking forward to your picks this week.
Yeah, thanks, Brent. As a South African, it was nice to be right about that pick. It was a hell of a day. It was a hell of a Friday and a Saturday and a Sunday and a Monday and a Tuesday. It was actually a great week. It was excellent. It was great to be out in the box, and what a game. I called it as a big scrum last week, and looking forward to some Pro 14 going forward. It's been good.
Excellent. Well, we'll spend a bit of time on the World Cup as well, but let's move on to welcome a man calling himself a betting novice, Henrik Swart. That's after England, of course, got rolled by the box last week. But Henrik, I know you had a strong tournament overall. It didn't finish the way you and I, let's say, expected it to, and probably from a profitability point of view, wanted to with English. But overall, a good one. I mean, you were very firm on under tries and under points at the start of the tournament. And aside from profits you showed in the matches, those long terms arrived comfortably.
Brent, after that World Cup final, I feel like a betting novice because I gave the box no chance, and they smashed the English. England were never in that game. From the start, you could see the box were by far the better team. And well done to them, and well done to all the box backers. I really feel like a betting novice after that game. But overall, it was a great tournament. I love the World Cup. The World Cup's always been good to me. And it was another profitable one. It's just a shame it's only every 4 years. Because I normally do well in the World Cup. I like like I said before as well, I like the games that the smaller teams play in. Those are the ones where you get more value normally. So from my side, the rugby betting year is basically over. I'll obviously dabble in the European games, but I'm not as good as, not confident in that, so I'll only play small on that. But it was a great World Cup.
Well, I see the Conductor's having a beer there. Does that mean your wife's out again and you're allowed to drink, or is she just so happy you won all that money last week?
I think when they carry on the trend, after last week when they had about 4 or 5 castles, when I called the box, I think she just says, let it slide, I think. If you can call it after 4 or 5 castles, you can go ahead.
You can go ahead. You can drink without a problem. Brendan, let's just talk then Rugby World Cup. How was the overall tournament for you? Bok victory aside, which obviously you celebrated and you won money on. But if you look back at the tournament, the matches, did you make a profit? What was maybe, if I could say, your betting high and your betting low of the tournament?
Brent, I started off like France in World War II. I got hit so badly in the first 2-3 days. I didn't know what was happening. Sheepers, creepers. Look, I was so confident on Japan, and they cost me big time. I went in heavy guns, but slowly sort of managed to keep back some losses. Fiji against Uruguay also cost me big time. But after that, it was all pretty much wins after that. It was a big plus World Cup for me. I think for me, the quarterfinals and semifinals was a big win for me. Look, I didn't bet big on the finals, but there were some big games that I took well on. World Cup is World Cup, and you do a loss, so not easy. But overall, I had a really good tournament. It was nice to have games at 7, 9, and 11 in the morning. That's a bit tough to walk away from that in the moments.
That's it. If I could ask one of you guys, I don't know if you saw Oracle put the message on. He hasn't got the email link for some reason. If one of you can either send it to him on Twitter message or WhatsApp to him, Brenda, maybe you can try and do that for Oracle now. Then we'll have him join us. Henrik, we already touched on the fact that long term you did pretty well, but I recall you saying for the quarterfinals that you were going to actually step off the gas because you had a really good tournament in the group stages. What was your best game of the tournament from a betting perspective, and what was your your worst game or perhaps your most unlucky game of the tournament?
See, Brent, you're putting me on the spot now. My memory is not that good. I can't remember what I did yesterday betting-wise. Uruguay was quite good to me. I remember against Wales, I kept pumping them on the plus. I think, it was Wales, Uruguay. So Uruguay, they were probably, of all the teams, betting-wise, on the plus especially, they were great. Also, overs, they were a very positive team. That game against Fiji as well, where they won. So, I can't. I'll have to go and have a look again at all the results to see what my best and worst was. But I started off badly, like Brendan said. Now he struggled the first week or so, and I also struggled. And then I got onto it, and the unders went quite well in the first 2 or 3 weeks with the humidity being very high. So that was very nice, getting on the points, getting on under some tries and points there. And then, like you said, when the playoffs came, I stepped off and I didn't have as much bets as early on in the tournament. But I'll always focus on the lower teams and try and get the value there.
Yeah, I enjoyed what you said there. I remember at the end saying, some of those lower teams, the bookies don't know that much about it, and that's often where the value is. Look, guys, we'll come back then to the World Cup when Oracle does join us. We hope he does get on. For some reason, he hasn't received the email link, but hopefully he'll get one of the other links we send him. But let's move on then to the Pro 14, and I think that's where we can spend most of our time as far as the European action goes, because I know, Brendan, you in particular are strong on the Pro 14, and we've got 2 games tomorrow night already, and let's start off with the first one. It's Conductor against Leinster, and I see here a handicap of Leinster minus 4.5 points. What do you make of this one?
Yeah, Brent, so it's going to be a bit of an interesting. It's such an interesting thing with the Pro 14 and the Champions Cup. It's such a tricky thing to call because there's so many players coming from the World Cup, etc. And with the Saracens debacle, it's such a it's a soup of uncertainty at the moment. So basically, they have so many players coming from the World Cup. If they play all the guys, they should beat Connacht quite easily. It's an honest derby. Not easy game. Connacht have beaten Leinster properly in Galway with a decent Leinster side. So it's not as if Leinster only win once in a while. I am going. I think they capped minus 5.5 at the moment. I'll go minus 5.5 there. Rob Carney is back. Keane Healy is back. Porter, the prop is back. They've got six Irish internationals back, aside for Sexton, which is not a big loss. And Bundia Key is on the bench for Connacht. So I'll go minus 5.5 there for Leinster. Leinster have got a cracking start in the Pro 14. Connacht didn't look great against the Cheetahs, so I'll definitely look for Leinster when they're going to be far too strong, I think, for the Connacht side in Galway.
Excellent. Well, I'm going to stay with you. Let's finish Friday night, and then I'll go get Henrik's opinion. I know Henrik hasn't got a fancy on each and every game of the Pro 14, but the other game is Edinburgh Rugby against the Dragons tomorrow night. And Edinburgh here, I see on Sunbet at the moment minus 22.5. And you got anything strong in this game for us?
Yeah, Brent, I tucked in on minus 20. I always get concerned when the handicaps are stretching a little bit, but look. The Dragons have signed some stronger guys like Ross Moriarty, but they're not going to come back anytime yet. They got bumped by 35 points to Leinster away. Edinburgh have got all their Scotch internationals back. It's a very strong Edinburgh side, and Edinburgh pumped Scarlets by, I think, about 35, 40 points. So, if I had to put any cash on this game, definitely leading Edinburgh. I prefer Simon Hickey to Jaco van der Walt, I think. Yeah, I prefer that sort of. Is it Jaco van der Walt, Heinrich? Yeah, I prefer and Purgos at scrum half. And Cockerell, the Edinburgh coach, says he wants full 5 points, and that's non-negotiable. So they need to get 5 points to start getting to, player contention. It gets. You don't realize how tough it gets for these guys so early on. With Leinster getting all their guys back, Munster getting all their guys back. With all the top teams, guys like Edinburgh, Cheetahs actually need to capitalize on these early junctions. And I think that's where Cheetahs have actually stepped a little bit, where they didn't get full points against Conductor and Scarlets. They should have done that when Leinster and Munster get all their guys back. That's a bit of a oopsie from them.
All right, let's go on to Henrik then. Friday night, anything for you, Henrik?
Yeah, I like Edinburgh as well, Brent. When the team came out this afternoon, I jumped on some minus 19.5 at 17 to 20. I'll still take the minus 20, minus 21, minus 22 as well. They've got a really strong team here. They let me down last week against Benetton. I was on Edinburgh to win the game. But yeah, back at home and with the changes made, and I agree with Brendan on Simon Hickey. He's a much better flyer for me than Jaco van der Walt, Henry Purgos, and the good centres. And I really like the Edinburgh team, and the Dragons team doesn't look that strong. So I expect Edinburgh to win by 30 plus here, and I like them strong.
I see Sean Nicholas saying he likes the halftime handicap there, Edinburgh to start strong and put them away then in the first half. Let's move on to Saturday's games. Brendan, we'll start with you again first. We've got the Ospreys against the Southern Kings. I see here the Kings are pretty big underdogs at plus 16.5 on WSB side.
Brett, I wouldn't touch that game with a barge pole. It's the dance of the desperates there, because Ospreys haven't been great, and you can just feel the Kings are going to do some. It's going to be a messy game. There's not going to be anything great there. I wouldn't touch that game. If anything, I'd go Ospreys minus 16.5. Look, the Kings lost by 50 last week, and to say it was an amateur performance, would actually be complimentary to the Kings. I'd actually say the Grey High Schoolboys would have been better against Glasgow than the Kings last week. They were atrocious. It was disgusting how Oaks were putting the ball foot on out on the full from their own half. It was terrible play by the Kings. I've got to feel that they don't really have no interest in the competition. But if anything, I'd go minus 16.5 to Ospreys. But my main focus is I'm catching the train tomorrow night, 7:00.
7:00. We'll get to that one. We'll get to that one now. Let's just quickly touch on Henrik on this game. Anything on this game for you, Henrik?
Yeah, I'm not strong here either, Brent. If anything, I'll go on the plus here, actually. Ospreys, they've been horrible looking at these results, and I watched their game last week against Connacht as well. The Kings were poor against Glasgow, but Glasgow had a very strong team. And the Kings were pretty good against Benetton the previous week. So if anything, I'll go for the plus here, but definitely not anything strong here. And my only other fancy is in the Cardiff and Cheetahs game. No other Pro 14 fancies for me.
Okay, excellent. We'll come back to you for that game. Brendan, let's move on to you then. I'll quickly rip on, I know we want to get to the 7:00 game, but Glasgow, I see they're minus 10.5 against, how do you pronounce it, Zebre?
The Zebre. The Artars, yeah. I'd probably go minus 10. I haven't looked too much at that game, Brent, to be quite honest. I'd probably go Glasgow there on the minus, and the reason being is Glasgow have lost a lot of points since all the internationals have been gone, and I think all the guys back there should cover that easy. Zebra is not a good team. Look, they have played well at home at times. But I'd definitely cover Glasgow there to cover the minus 10. It's actually quite a favourable handicap there to Glasgow. I think that's more upon what they've done in the last couple of games. But with all their guys back, I expect a full, basically, Scottish international team to play a half-assed Italian team tomorrow. So on Saturday, sorry. So it should be a good win for Casco. I mean, -1.5 should be actually. Now that I think about it, it's actually not a bad handicap.
Excellent. Just a question here from Rugby Fair. Did any SA bookies void any bets, try score outright markets to the cancelled games? And Sean Nicholas coming in because most of us got on with Sunbet because they were first out with the markets. And Sunbet paid out in full, so full marks to them. Absolutely no issues for punters to get their money. And I get asked that question a lot by non-betting guys. An old schoolmate phoned me up. He wanted 5,000 Rand on Wales on Friday. Can you believe it, against New Zealand? And he asked me to get it. I hadn't heard from the guy in about 5 years. And I got the bet on for him. And he was saying, like, if I win my 35,000 or whatever it was, will I get my money? And I said, you don't have to worry. And Oracle Rugby said it as well. This bookmaker industry in South Africa is very well regulated. You might get into an argument with a bookmaker, but if you can prove your points, you certainly don't have any worries there. And interesting that Rugby Fan is saying that Ladbrokes voided tries. So, Henrik, I know you would have been a very grumpy man if tries and points were voided, because let's face it, even with those games taking place, it would have been a comfortable winner.
Yeah, Brent, the tries and the points were like more than 100, I think about 300 points under. So even if all those games took place, the unders would have cruised. Those were never in doubt. The tries were in doubt. Like 2 or 3 weeks to go, there was a bit of a concern from my side, but in the end, it both cruised. And that's just shocking from the bookmakers. The bookmakers know that would have paid.
Excellent. Well, Henrik, let's stay with you then, and we'll get you onto the Cardiff v Cheetahs game. I see Cheetahs have a slight favourite. I haven't been following the betting. I don't know if they opened that way or if they've been backed into favourites, but I see 19-20 Cardiff, 17-20 the Cheetahs. What do you fancy? Is this the game you said you fancy something, eh?
Yeah, Brentwood. What bookmaker is that you see the Cheetahs slight favourite?
That's WSB.
Okay.
But Sunbet hadn't priced. I couldn't see that Sunbet had priced this game yet. I don't know what else you've seen.
Yeah, Sunbet only has the 2 Friday evening games. I've got Betway opinions. They've still got the Cheetahs as odds against just over even money. And I like the Cheetahs. Yeah, I think the Cheetahs can win this game. So I'm not as strong as the Edinburgh one, but I like the Cheetahs to win here. I see them bouncing back. Cardiff, they've been alright-ish, but yeah, I like the Cheetahs here. And yeah, I told you before the show that I only like the 2, but I actually want to speak about the Munster Ulster one as well. But you can go to Brendan with that one first.
Yeah, let's first go to Brendan. Brendan, is this the match that the Conductor's been waiting for?
This is the game, Brent. This is the absolute game. Look, it was disappointing. Hey, against Connacht, they shouldn't have lost against Connacht. I didn't watch the Scarlets game. I was about for all my sins, I was about 8 brandies deep by the time the Scarlets game kicked off, and I really couldn't have cared if nuclear missiles had been launched at the Russia, or I really couldn't care at that stage. I was so happy. So by the time I got home, I sort of saw the score. I believe there was actually a knock on for the second Scarlets try, so maybe it actually didn't reflect the correct score. But so the Cheetahs have 2 weeks left in Europe. They play the Cardiff and they play Zebra. I'm expecting a big effort for the last 2 matches. I think Cardiff have been absolutely rubbish. They're missing Navidi, missing Anscombe, missing Owen. One of those Owen guy went to the World Cup for Wales. I can't remember exactly what his name is, but I'm expecting a far better effort from the Cheetahs, and it's a 4G pitch, which means it's going to be, even if it's raining, it's going to be a far better handling pitch than what they played in last week against the Scarlets. So yeah, and the big proviso is that they must play Pienaar at scrum half rather than Tian May. I don't mind Tian May as a substitute, but Rion Pienaar's knowledge in that game in the hemisphere is unparalleled. At 35 years old, he's incredible. So yeah, I'm very bullish here. I think the Cheetahs should win by 7 or 10 plus. I don't normally say that. I'm usually quite sort of conservative, but I'm very bullish here. I think Cardiff is actually rubbish. And at 9 to 10, I think the Cheetahs are a great bet.
Excellent. Well, I'll certainly be following you guys on that one. But let's take a little bit of a break from Pro 14. And Oracle, of course, he's late but happy. Let's see if he can hear us and if we can hear him. Gavin, welcome to the show. Great to have you on. You must have thought I was playing a joke on you and not sending you the link.
Brent, I didn't think it. I knew it. If it wasn't for Brendan sending me a screenshot, which I had to type out manually onto a computer, then type it back out manually onto my phone, I would have known it was you trying to keep me out the show. That's very dodgy of you, Brent. Well done. It almost worked.
Excellent. Maybe I must have sent it to an old email address or something. But anyway, great to have you on the show. Again, we are talking Pro 14 already, but we can't move on without first of all congratulating you on a brilliant, if I could say, end to the World Cup. I think overall you did okay, but I mean you ended it particularly strong. You were bullish on two things last week. You were bullish on Pollard to be the top point scorer, and he arrived with some ease. And I'm pleased to say I followed you on that one. But you were also incredibly bullish on the Boks and thought they would win comfortably. And that they did. And, you took money off me. I think you took money off a few people, and you certainly took money off the bookmakers. Yes,
Brent. Listen, a lot of people followed me on Pollard, actually. I mean, I had chicks that I'd never met before at work and some guys in the finance department coming out on Monday morning and congratulating me and saying they'd listened to me and they'd got Pollard, and I didn't even know some of their names, so I was quite impressed. That was a fantastic moment. I enjoyed Monday. I had guys telling me they'd never won before, and they're hitting the withdraw button for the first time, and you know how that feels. I mean, we've all hit it for the first time, and some of us hit it regularly and others don't. But it was great to see. And I just said to everybody, listen, go and buy your wife or your boyfriend or whoever you are, go and buy them a dinner and take a screenshot and send it to me, and I'll tell the world, because that's what it's all about. I mean, a lot of guys think that they expect to lose. I mean, I met a guy, and I've been in the bookmaking industry a long time. I could be working in bookmaking for 10 years and never hit the withdraw button. So there's people that don't know what it's like to actually get some money back, and they honestly think like they're donating every week, which is crazy. So Pollard, if I ever meet him, if you're watching the show, obviously he isn't, but if he is or somebody knows him, you will get more than 3 beers out of me. Don't worry. No, that was great. I loved it.
Yeah, he was excellent. In fact, I saw he had a little procedure there. He had a fractured cheekbone or something, so he didn't join the guys, I believe, on the sort of ticker tape parade and had an operation, but he was superb. Gavin, when he missed that first penalty, I must say, I thought, because there has been question marks about him in the past, under big pressure, but gee, he stepped up to the plate after that, and it was never in doubt. And just on that particular bet, of course, we were all hoping that Ford would kick for England, and when Farrell kicked, it was obviously he had the potential to make a race of it, but not with South Africa winning the game.
Yeah, Brent, when I saw number 12 going up to kick the ball, I straight away thought, geez, it's Ford. Farrell's giving the ball. And I think it isn't. And I had another look at it. Right, shit, I've made a mistake. It's obviously Farrell. But some of the people that had followed me were WhatsApping me saying, what's the score? How's it going? And I said, listen, this is a situation. But again, it comes back to the betting as well. I mean, they were crazy. Never mind the 15-10. They had that 12-1, the Japanese guy. Mwanga comes and gets 15 points. And I did say last week that 17, he'd be in the race, not necessarily be winning, but he'd be in the race, and he got 15. And then I saw there were one or two sites that came out with him favourite. In fact, half an hour later, or not even half an hour, about 15 minutes later, they'd suspended betting, realised they'd made a mistake. I don't know who in the world thought that Mwanga was favourite after leading by 7 going into that final, because there was no ways that Farrell or Pollard were not going to get 7 points. It was crazy. If they wanted to get some money back from the punters, and I tell you, I didn't cover Pollard, and I definitely didn't cover South Africa. There are once during this tournament that I consider putting money on another team or another player to beat Pollard. So yes, those were my 2 picks before the tournament. I know you did some. You gave us all a few bets before, and I suspect Henrik beat me on that because my only 2 winning ones were Pollard and South Africa. I know he got that Argentina not to qualify. And that was a big play. Seriously, Henrik, I said well done last week, and I had another look this week. And that was well spotted. I didn't see it coming, and that was well done. So if anybody followed you there, that was great play. The trick was to obviously carry on from there and get something. And I watched a breakdown show during the week. I know a lot of guys watched it. They literally said, I think in a 60-minute show, and they in rugby for about 4 minutes. It was unbelievable. They were all over South Africa, and it's almost you never see that. And they spoke so well about us. It was a great show. So if you've got catch up, go and watch that breakdown show from New Zealand. You'll be impressed because you won't see that very often. You're unlikely to see it for a while.
Well, Brendan, I saw you put up your hand. You wanted to make a comment was it on the point scorer bet?
Yeah, Brent, just two things quickly. I don't say this often, but I must congratulate Sunbet for Paddy Power in the UK do it. They call it a justice bet. When guys have been robbed of a bet, they pay out the punters. And they paid out a lot of guys for the Owen Farrell bet because of the Typhoon Haggis, the Scottish typhoon that wrecked the Japan mainland. So I see Gav is raising hand. I just want to finish a quick Gav there, but it's I don't know about you guys. I've very seldom seen that a SA punter has taken initiative and a bit of logic and actually wanted to maintain their customers. So a big hand to Sunbet.
Excellent. Yeah, I mean, I think it's something that bookmakers don't do enough, and it's great publicity at the end of the day for the books. And there was a question also on the show: what are you drinking there? What's the conductor drinking? It's the alcohol-free Heineken. Eh? Is that the 0%?
No. There's a full 5.
Don't worry, Anita. What's Oracle drinking there?
I'm drinking Black Label in a Portuguese Superboc glass I got from. So I'm happy.
Excellent.
But I just want to say something on that. Sorry. Look, Sunbet, it's great. And we've all seen the Paddy Power things, and those are wonderful. But I got to tell you, I'm not interested in hearing somebody tell me that Pollard won because Mwanga didn't play against Italy and Farrell didn't play against France. I'm sorry. Pollard did not play against Canada, and he did not play against Namibia. So if anything, you got to thank Rassie for letting you even into a shout, if you will. So I'm sorry, but Pollard won this bet hands down. He only played 5 of the 7 games, just like everybody else, and he beat them by a country mile. There wasn't 1 or 2 points or 5 or 10. Like he beat the Oaks by 15 points or 12 points or whatever it was. It was double digits at worst. I'm sorry, Pollard, well done. I don't want to hear anything from anybody else. I called it right. In fact, as I said last week, it was because of some guy put him thin that week before the tournament. I wouldn't even looked at Pollard. I would have moaned at Oak like Hein for taking a bet like this. But it was a cracking bet. And never mind the 3-1, 4-1 we got before the tournament, 5-1, whatever it was. Last week's 15-10. If you didn't have a bet before that, you absolutely cleaned up. That was the wrong price by a long way. And well done for anybody who took the 15-10 last week.
Excellent. Well, I'm pleased to say, as I said, I was one of those. Gavin, let's quickly, I'm not going to start with you at the beginning of the Pro 14. At the end, I'll just go and see if you fancy anything on the games we've already discussed. We just talked about the Cardiff, I think it was the Cardiff Cheetahs game, and the boys have shared their views on that one. So maybe we'll go straight in there. You fancy anything on that one?
Yeah, Brent, I was listening to the show. You obviously saw my comments on there. The Kings is an interesting one. The Kings lost 15-0 last week, and I was one of the guys that said, listen, rather wait for halftime, take a bit of a plus in the second half, because once they're well beaten, they're probably going to score a couple of tries, which is what has happened in the past. I was wrong there. I did have a small punt on it, didn't have a lot of money on it. I did back the Cheetahs last week. I was very disappointed. They're losing 14-10. They get a penalty, and they kick it for the corner. Now, if you're losing by 4, you don't kick for the corner, especially when there's half an hour to play. They should have taken the 3 points. It was a decent kick. They didn't take the kick. They went for the corner, lost the ball. I think they lost it in the line-out. And then a little bit later, they eventually got the penalty again. Now they would have been 16-14 up, but now that's 14-13. And a few minutes later, I think it was Conductor, if I'm correct, got the extra 3 and won by 4. So I'm very disappointed that the Cheetahs didn't play the way they should have played. They try to go for the win too early. If they'd abided their time, they would have got it later. I'm going to say the Cheetahs are going to win this game. I'm not going to take any handicap bets, and I'm not going to go wild like I have. The Cheetahs have basically won 5 out of 5 pluses. If you look at the plus 4.5 that were available earlier in the week last week, I know they came to game time, it was plus 2.5. But effectively, on opening prices, they've won 5 out of 5 handicaps. I think the Cheetahs will carry on and win another one. They'll probably win the game this week. This is probably the game they've targeted. I think it's their last game on tour before they come to South Africa. Back to South Africa. But I've got to tell you, nobody will beat this Cheetahs team in Bloemfontein, especially with Ruan Pienaar there. I'm very impressed with the Cheetahs. They can still win this conference. They can still win this tournament. So, yeah, I'm on the Cheetahs this week, but it's a medium sort of 3-unit play. I'm not going maximum here. I'd like to get them back in South Africa. In fact, if they do lose here and I lose my bet, I've got to say that when they do start off next year, later in the season, I think they play a game or 2 in December, and I know they play the Kings twice in January. By the time they've played Kings both times, they should be in a much better position, and I'm all for the Cheetahs here. So yeah, small bet for me, or medium bet for me this weekend, but I think they're going to do well in the season. So it's a long-term play for me, but in the game specific, just small bet. With regards to the rest of the matches, the other one that did catch my eye is the 17-10 Conductor. Now I know they beat Cheetahs last week, and they probably shouldn't have. I don't trust this Leinster team, the away team. I know they're an Irish team as well. I'm going to tell you there's a little bit of value in the 17-10 Conductor to win the game. Look, you can go for the handicap if you want to. Probably get 4.5 or 5.5, possibly even 6.5 at that price. I'm going to go for the 17-10 to win the game. Small bet, but I think that there's a little bit of momentum. They know that they won a game they probably shouldn't have won last week, and those are the only 2 calls for me. I wouldn't touch the Kings plus. As I mentioned in the comments, Gray's High School can probably beat the Kings right now. They're so rubbish. The other games I haven't looked at, and the problem with the other games, the Scottish, Welsh, and Italian games, is that a lot of these players could be coming back. I'm not much for players, so I'd rather wait until game time. I may end up having a bet on 1 or 2 of those games, but I'm not going to have one right now.
Right, thanks, Gav, for your thoughts on that one. Let's go to Brendan now for the next game on the card. It's Munster against Ulster. I see your Munster minus 9.5, Brendan.
Yeah, Brent, that's a bit too big for me. I see Johan van Graan says he's not going to rush his guys back. He's brought 1 or 2 internationals back, but nothing massive. I also have a very settled side there. Once again, it's an Irish derby. If anything, I'll settle on the plus there. I think it's actually going to be a very tight game. I don't think they're going to rush CJ, Conor Murray, and those guys back. I haven't seen the team sheets yet, but if anything, I'd honestly press on the plus 9.5. I think it's a big handicap for an Irish derby there. I saw you say there's a couple of Johan van Graan said there's a couple of guys injured for them. It didn't look great for Munster. Look, they haven't been bad, but I actually think Munster also haven't been terrible. They've actually been quite good the last couple of weeks. So I'll probably back also on the handicap there. It's an Irish derby, so yeah, I think it's going to be tight. Look, the one thing I must say, Brent, I see Richard Cockerell, I think from Edinburgh, came out. It was one of the guys, and he just said the standard of refereeing in Pro 14 is abysmal. And that's my only concern with all these games, is that I think everyone realizes that the standard of refereeing is actually shocking. Look, we can say what we want about Ben Whitehouse, maybe Oxenchair was boring in whatever, but people are all over admitting when Joy Neville is your best your best referee in Pro 14, you've got issues there. And that's the issue with betting on Pro 14 is the referees are so poor. It doesn't really come down to team form. It might come down to referee on the night. That's the problem.
Yeah, you got to watch out for the refs in some of these games. I'll just stay with you, Brendan, for the last game because I know the other guys don't fancy anything else too strong. Scarlets against Benetton. We've got Scarlets here minus 7.5 point favourites.
I like Benetton on the plus there, Brent. All the Scottish internationals back, and I don't think actually Scarlets were that amazing last week. I thought Scarlets had the benefits of a rain against the Cheetahs. I think the Benetton are actually quite plucky away from home, despite what people say. Look, they've lost 1 or 2 guys away. Like now, can you believe it that now Italian teams are starting to be poached by English teams? So I see Minozzi is now playing for the Wasps, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I think he's playing for the Wasps. So, that does speak of Italian quality, that now the Italian players are starting to be poached by other teams. So I definitely back Benetton to keep it tight. When Benetton played last year away to Leinster, they kept it very, very tight. So, and I don't rate the Scarlets team by any measure. I don't think they're great shakes. But I'll go on there's a big plus for me there.
Excellent. We'll pop down to Henrik quickly. Henrik, 2 questions for you. On the Premiership, let us know if you fancy anything. I know you haven't really studied up on that, but you obviously have seen the story about the whole Saracens being docked points and stuff due to all the breaches of the salary cap and stuff. What do you make of that? Quite a hectic week in England.
Yeah, Brent, that's an interesting one, and they've been under investigation for a while. I'm not that I'm not that good on European rugby, but English Premiership, I'm better at Pro 14, I think, than English Premiership. So I haven't got strong fancy there. But yeah, Saracens, since they're in a bit of trouble, I've seen that someone has tweeted that he's got a pretty close source, and they're gonna they're gonna focus on the Premiership rather than the Champions Cup. So they're probably gonna go all in on the Premiership. They're obviously not gonna rush the English players back straight away. But yeah, it should be interesting. Following them now, they obviously, I think they've appealed against it or something like. But from what I've read, they haven't really got any foot to stand on. So I think they're gonna still get the minus 35 points, and they're gonna have to pay a £5+ million penalty. So yeah, they're in a bit of trouble. I've actually read that there's a chance that Ray, the owner, is most probably there's a chance that he's going to sell his shares in the club. So yeah, Saracens, they're in a bit of trouble. There's a few other clubs apparently that might be in a bit of trouble as well, and might be a bit nervous. And I've seen Exeter's owner. He's come out and he says that they should be stripped of their titles and they should actually be relegated straight away. So yeah, that's an interesting one. That's big stuff in the European. So I just want to touch on the Pro 14 again. I told you before the show I only like 2, but I actually having a look at the betting, I like Ulster a bit on the plus as well against Munster. I don't rate Johan Vergraan as a coach. I've always said that I don't rate him. I hope he stays there and don't come back to South Africa. Hope that Nino gets the post and they don't bring him back. So yeah, I like Ulster as well on the plus. But yeah, that's my thoughts for the European rugby.
Excellent. Well, let's go across to Gavin. Gavin, have you got any thoughts on the Premiership? Interesting. Andrew Litke just mentioning he's backed Saracens plus 9.5. I think they're playing against Gloucester, and I know there was quite a lot of money for Gloucester, and particularly when news of this whole thing broke and everyone thought maybe Saracens will be down and out. The reality, I guess, is that if that points dock stands, they're going to be all out just to avoid relegation. Anything you fancy this weekend in the Premiership?
Yeah, Brent, I've actually got a couple of questions with regards to that. So Henrik just suggested now that the team could get fined. I've got a couple of questions. Where does the money go? And secondly, if they've got a salary cap problem and they can't pay these players the amount of money they've obviously negotiated under the table in an envelope or whatever the situation is, who's going to buy them if everybody else has got a salary cap a problem? Surely these smaller clubs can't even pay for these bigger players anyway. So what's going to happen ultimately is they're going to end up going out of England or into France, and then they've also got a salary cap problem. So where do they go? They're not coming to the Curry Cup. They're not coming to Super Rugby. I'm interested to know how this whole dynamic works. I mean, we see this stuff in the newspapers, but we don't see balance sheets and income statements, and we don't really know what's going on they say there's a salary cap and so, but to go back to your question, you're going to tell me that a team that's just been docked 36 points or whatever it is now plus 9.5 in a game. They were favoured to win the tournament. I got to tell you, I'm going to put a quite bit of money on the plus over here. I'm not even thinking to win the game. I don't know anything about English rugby. I honestly don't watch it. But yeah, I'm interested in this plus. Salary cap doesn't matter to me. Yeah, if anyone's got answers to me, help me. But otherwise, I'm going to have a bit of the plus Saracens this weekend. No problem.
So you agreeing with Andrew on that one? I must say I haven't got a firm opinion on that. It would probably make an interesting show in its own right to get some guys in who really know the ins and outs of the Premiership football to go that. But for now, Brendan, let me move over to you and give us your thoughts on the Premiership this weekend and for that matter on Saracens.
Yeah, Brent, so I like Sale tomorrow night. Sale against Wasps. It's hard what to make of Steve Diamond basically poaching an entire Sharks team. He's got Jean-Luc, Rob, Dan, Aka, Kuni. I mean, he's basically transferred an entire Durban team to the Sales team. I see Luert de Jager is out for 9 months now with a dislocated shoulder, so that's a big loss for Sale. So, but nevertheless, I'm still big on Sale on the minus versus Wasps. I don't like the Wasps team. I don't know what happened to Fekitoa. Fekitoa has gone from this team. He was great last week, and now he's disappeared. Wasps were amazing 2 or 3 seasons ago, but Dai Young, I don't know what's happened to that team, but he just hasn't been able to maintain the guys. Look, I like Jimmy Gopeth, as a centre, but I can't see them holding Sale away. It's away to Sale to my nights. And then Gloucester is my big play. I think I must be honest. Saracens, I think are in. Look, you can take whatever you want from the Ray, the chairman. And I actually wonder if he's not related to Jackson Ray, who's one of their flankers. I don't know if it's a son or a grandson or whatever. But I think they're in troubled times there because now I've heard their financial guy and their ex-financial guy also resigned like a couple of months ago, and it sounds like the rats are jumping ship. I think I like Johan Akamani builds a very solid side. I like Danny Cipriani. I like Joe Simpson. The couple of players they went against London Irish last week, I really think they put this Saracen side to the sword, and it's a Saracen side that's really in big trouble. Look, you can keep them at 9 points on the log, but to be honest, from what I've read and what I've heard, they've got no chance of holding that appeal up. It's co-investments with the players, and it's a very tangled thing that they've done there. It's not above board. And if you listen to Rob Baxter from Exeter, he says he wants to wank into Exeter Park and he wants to see 3 trophies in there. So the Exeter Chiefs are very, very upset. And I think if you go all over the Premiership, all the guys are really upset in terms of the Saracens and the way they've actually cheated their way into finals.
Excellent. When I see Oracle showing us a picture of his burglar bars there, so no surprise which country he lives in when you see that. Someone asked me once what was behind the curtains. I don't know if I can even open these, but you'll see some bars behind me there as well. We're in South Africa. We've got to take precautions. Brendan, let's finish off with you then. Anything else in Europe? And then your best bet, please, for the weekend.
Sure, Brent. Okay. Nothing else tomorrow in the English Premiership. Nothing else in the Pro 14. My best bet is the Cheetahs. Come on, the boys. Come on, the Pina. It's a Bloom train, and we're riding it all the way. We're going to actually smoke Cardiff tomorrow, and we're going to ride into Italy. We're going to smoke the Italians, and that's going to be a nice week, a couple of weeks holiday for the boys. Absolutely. That 9 to 10, that is massive value. I'm piling into that.
Right. Let's go to Henrik. Henrik, your best bet for the weekend.
Brent, just before I get onto that, you guys on the burglar bars, I heard earlier this week, I heard on the radio that SA Rugby insured the William Burke Ellis Cup for something like 700,000 rand just for the tour that they're doing. So yeah, that tells you everything about our country. I'm not sure that other countries would worry about insuring it, but they insure the cup for this tour that the players are going on with the cup for if it gets stolen. Yeah, I'm going for Edinburgh tomorrow night. Minus 20, minus 21. If you can get that, then I'll take that as well. I think Edinburgh will win well.
Excellent. And Oracle, let's finish off then with your best bet for the weekend and any closing thoughts.
Brent, the first thing is I'm on the wrong side of the burglar bars. I'm actually outside, so it doesn't matter. It's keeping my wife in and me out. Yeah, listen, tomorrow morning is an interesting one for me. I had booked my parents live in America, and they're coming to watch my kid play water polo on the weekend. And they arrive at the airport at 8:20 tomorrow morning, and I see the Springboks are arriving at 8:30. So I'm going to just happen to be there by default, and I've taken the day off work tomorrow because I've got to take the kids to school and whatever. We've got one car and the mechanic and so on. But it's going to be an interesting day tomorrow. I'm going to be at the airport. If you're in Durban, you'll catch me. I'll be there early, and I hope to see a bit of that. And at 700,000 rand, Henrik, I've got to tell you, I'm going to try to get my hands on it and see if I can demand $1 million back and make a 300 on the arbitrage. Yeah,
sounds
my
like
best
a
bet for the weekend, Brent, Cheetahs. Yeah, sorry, I'm not going big this weekend. I've won a lot of money. I'm paying for my December holiday, and Han knows I'm taking him out for lunch during December. I'm down in the Knysna area in Cape Town for the Sevens. So I'm not. Listen, I've banked the money. A small plays from me from now on. I'll get involved in the Nedbank Challenge and the President's Cup, and obviously the Cape Town Sevens. But otherwise, a punting holiday for me until the end of January. I know I'm very disciplined with that, so I won't be going large until the end of January when Super Rugby starts. So yeah, Cheetahs for me. I will follow the Pro 14, but I'm not going massive like I have been in the last couple of months.
Excellent. Well, Sean suggesting you wear a green vest tomorrow, so you'll stand out nicely at the airport when the Boks arrive. Yeah, I must say, Gavin, similar attitude to you. I'm not going to be going too mad on the rugby. What I've done is I've cleaned out a few of my accounts. I've left rand in there. I don't like to be totally empty. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to be looking for opportunity. For example, GG Gaming, I've got a couple of thousand lying there. I'm going to just look for a few 5 to 10 shots, just keep lumping the whole balance on and hopefully growing it that way and trying to get a bit more. But I'm certainly not going to be taking it anywhere near as serious as I was taking the balance of it. Just while I'm coming back to you, Oracle, there, the suggestion is that you also wear a Fuff Speedo tomorrow. But on behalf, I think, of everybody in South Africa, I'd like to ask you not to wear a Fuff Speedo tomorrow.
Yeah, Donovan actually works with me. He sits on the desk opposite me, so don't worry about him. I will show up at work on Monday with a Speedo, and I'll scare Donovan away, and the chicks will come and take his desk over. So don't worry, Donovan, I won't be wearing a Speedo at the airport. I just wanted to mention to you, Brent, if you remember, and I'm going to go back a few years here, probably about 7 or 8 years ago, you did you started with 1,000 rand, and you had a thread on Good for the Game where you punted anything under, I think it was anything under 1 to 10, and you managed to get up to just over 1,000 rand.
Yeah,
yeah, and you ended up losing on the Lions. Sorry, I'm just going to finish quickly. Your bet lost at the Lions playing against the Falca. And I think they lost 30-28 or 32-30. There's a couple of points in it. And other than that, I think you would have gone a long way. So, yes, it's interesting that you say you're looking for 5 to 10 shots. Why not look for anything under 5 to 10 and see how long you can spread your money over?
In fact, Gavin, you bring back a really interesting memory. It was a good 8 years ago. The thread was called the Buy Money thread. And I remember I was going to buy anything. And I think it was anywhere around from like 3 to 10 and below that I was going to buy. And I came very close to losing on a US Open tennis bet. The rule was I had to put my whole balance on each time. So the first bet I had 1,000 rand, and then I turned it into 1,050. Then I took the 1,050. And my aim was to double my money to get 2,000. And it was the last bet. I needed the Lions to beat the Pumas. They were some ridiculously short price. And it was the Pumas at Ellis Park, if I'm not mistaken. But it was unbelievable that bet got lost. Yeah, right. Yeah, unbelievable. Right at the end, but it was great fun. And maybe I'll do something similar on the Good for the Game forum again. But you got a very good memory.
I don't look like
guys,
an
let's
elephant, though.
I remember that very well.
You remember that one, Henrik? Geez, yeah. No.
You bet it with WSB. I remember it very well, and you were just short of the 2000 when you lost.
That's it. So maybe we'll have to get something similar started. But guys, thanks very much. Good to have you on the show. Conductor, enjoy the ride tomorrow night. Looking forward to being on that bus with you.
Thanks, Brent. I just want to make two more points quickly. So I think with the World Cup, I think we all need to do good. I just want to just tell you guys where your bucks are going on the Good for the Game bets that I won. So there's a lady that works in my local butchery. She's a cashier. She obviously can't afford the all the finer stuff. And whenever I walk in, she covets the box jersey that I wear that I walk in with. So I said to her on the last week Friday, I said if the box win, she'll get her own jersey. So I just want to tell you guys that's where your bucks are going. So boys, it's a good thing that the lady at our local butcher will be getting a nice little box jersey. I couldn't buy one today because they're all sold out. I couldn't even buy the rubbish. There was nothing left. I think I try to buy every single thing. So as soon as I can buy a nice box jersey for her, I will definitely take a pick. But I just want to just show you the next South African team. Here it is, Montpellier. Montpellier is the top 14. It will have a South African backline with Reinach, Pollard, Frans Steyn, Immelman, and then it'll have Duplessis brothers. It'll just be an entirely South African team. So watch out for Montpellier next season with Gautier as the coach. It's going to be a great affair.
Excellent. Thanks, Conductor. Henrik, betting novice as you're calling yourself tonight. Thanks for the show and have a good weekend.
Thanks, Brent. Yeah, good luck to all. And yeah, the year is almost gone. Good luck for the weekend.
Excellent. And then Oracle, thanks. Pleased you got on the show eventually. I was a bit worried you wouldn't come on and be able to take some of the credit for last week. But have a good weekend, and hopefully the two of us can bump into each other. We got a bit of a sound delay there with Oracle, so him and I are talking over each other a little bit. But thanks a lot, guys. Thanks to all the guys who joined us in the live chat. If you do go to Durban Airport tomorrow, do look out for the Oracle in his Puff Speedo and his green vest. And yeah, get involved in the bets. Just a final reminder that if you're not subscribed yet to the Good for the Game newsletter, it's a free newsletter that goes out on the Friday. I can tell you, Chris Sturdy's got some football bets that are going to be included in the newsletter, and we'll certainly take the best bet from the rugby and stick that on as well. I've got a feeling that could involve the Cheetahs. Guys, thanks very much for joining us. I look forward to joining you in future weeks as well. We're going to stop the Monday night show, but we'll probably keep the Thursday ones going. And if you missed GG Gaming Gone Mad, watch that and find out that I'll be playing poker next week, sponsored by GG Gaming. And anybody who watches next week's show could get a share of the winnings, assuming, of course, that I cash, which those who actually play poker with me will know is quite a long shot, unfortunately. Thanks very much, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Thanks, boys.